most of them out here. And today I want to talk about Empire Followers. Followers and banners can both be equipped in your Ancillary slot on your heroes and lords, but banners are essentially items that drop in the way that items normally do, whereas followers are a different type of ancillary that have certain specific conditions that have to be met for those to drop. Followers is an area that a lot of people kind of overlook in their strategies with different races. So I just wanted to go through all the different followers that are possible for the Empire to get and just point out which ones I think are the more interesting and maybe the most useful for you to try to acquire. I'll probably throw in a few other general tips that relate to the Empire campaign. And at the end, I'll go through my top 3 picks for Empire Followers. Before I go on, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Cpecific for his ultimate ancillary guide, which I'll be reading from today. I find it invaluable. I'll put a link in the description below. What you see here is the Empire Follower Guide. Empire Followers is a bit of a good news, good news sandwich. The good news is Empire's got a lot of followers. They've got a really big roster of followers that can drop. The bad news is it's pretty hard to actually farm any of the decent ones, but the good news is it is pretty easy to just get them throughout the campaign without really trying to farm them. First, we'll talk about their Freebie Follower. Most factions have a sort of free follower that you can get by just taking your heroes out of an army and then rejoining the army and then just doing that over and over each turn. Every time you join an army, the hero's army ability applies, and that counts as a successful hero action, which can trigger followers to drop. Most factions only have one of these freebie followers. The Empire actually has 2, the Rogue and the Thug. These followers can be equipped on heroes. That's what this symbol means here. However, it's a bit tricky because it only applies to the assassinate action. So even though you can equip these on your characters, it won't actually do anything unless you equip it on a Witch Hunter, which is the only character that actually has the assassinate action. The first follower on the Empire list is Sir Mandalore, an Easter egg reference to the Mandalore Gaming YouTube channel. Unfortunately, you can't get this follower until very late in the game because it only drops in the Pig Barter region. Watchman only gives you a very small protection against enemy heroes. Ambush defense chance is useful, but as Empire, you've got easy access to Skarsnik. Lord defeat trait for Skarsnik is plus 40 ambush chance and plus 40 ambush defense chance, and that's much easier to get. Leadership only versus vampire counts is not that useful. Barber Surgeon is great, plus 5% plenishment rate, but you'll normally recruit these without having to go out of your way to farm it. If you haven't got one yet, just loot a few settlements and you should be able to farm it. Bounty Hunter plus magic item drop chance is good. You've got a couple of item drop chance items for Empire. If you want to increase your drop chance and you haven't got this, you can just loot a few settlements. Note with this one you have to have less than 10 units in your army, so perhaps if you've got 2 armies with Gotrek, you could switch Gotrek to be attacking with a smaller army if he's got less than 10 units and have your larger army support. Normally on Legendary, having a second army early in the game is prohibitively expensive because of the supply line penalty, which increases the cost of all of your units when you have extra armies. However, the Empire has the option to recruit Gotrek and Felix. Just build the tap room building, and on the turn that the building's completed, quests will appear offering you the chance to recruit Gotrek and Felix. Gotrek can lead his own army. However, at the top of the screen, there'll be no additional supply line penalty for his army. There will be a new status icon at the top of your screen indicating how many turns you have remaining until Gotrek and Felix disappear. You only have them temporarily for 30 turns. However, there is a simple trick that you can use on Legendary difficulty so that you can actually just keep Gotrek and Felix forever. At the start of the turn, after your 30 turns have run out, Gotrek and Felix will disappear and you'll have to replace them with a new general. If you're on Legendary difficulty, the game will have saved automatically at the start of the turn. So if you want to keep Gotrek and Felix forever, just reload your most recent save. You'll be back at the start of the turn. However, this time the dilemma to make Gotrek and Felix leave will not fire. And because the time is now gone, it'll never fire and you'll just be able to keep them forever.
Giant Slayer.
Soldiers, pretty useless. Plus chance of item steal is pretty cool. It's only a very small chance and you can only get it if you lose draw battle, so you can't really farm it really effectively unless you do the port battle exploit. Mercenary replenishment's really good. Unfortunately, again, you can only get this by losing and drawing a Road Warden. Ambush defense chance isn't really needed that much early on, as you don't have a lot of powerful Skaven threats in the area attacking you with their ambush attack ability. However, if you push on into the mid and late game, you will eventually come into contact with Sneakitch or Ikit Claw, and ambush defense chance can be invaluable. You just need to participate in an ambush battle. Your Lord will have 25% chance every time you do a battle. It's pretty easy to trigger ambush battles if you have a sack city, which is the last settlement that the race has. And basically what you want to do is have a powerful army in ambush stance nearby to the settlement, and then have a single weak lord by themselves next to that ambushed army. Then the enemy faction, every turn they'll recruit some units, they'll attack your single lord, and then your other army will ambush them. Pit fighter's pretty good, plus casualties. Vagabond plus line of sight's not that big of a deal. Minus enemy success chance. If you're playing the agent game, it can be useful. Income from trade. Trade's typically not like a huge part of your income. Line of sight's not a big deal. Income from trade, income from trade. Potentially you could stack some of these up, but it's not really going to be that game changing. Attrition, it's not really very useful. Bone picker, again, casualties captured post battle. Tollkeeper, plus 12% tax province is amazing. However, this symbol here means it can only be equipped on a lord. On legendary, at least the amount of extra money it would cost for supply lines to have a lord camped in a province is going to be much more than the 12% increase. The Empire has a bunch of public order followers. Some of them cannot be equipped by heroes though. These ones with this brown symbol can only be equipped by lords. All the ones with the blue symbol can actually be equipped by heroes. So a hero can get +1 public order from agitator, +1 from noble, and you can get the entertainer follower that gives you +2 public order, and all of these can be stacked on the same hero. One thing that I often like to do with my Empire campaigns is to recruit a maximum public order Empire captain. It's not just any Empire captain. I've recruited one with the trait Regal, which gives him +4 to public order in the local province. Also, Empire captains have this skill, spread public order, that you can max it out for an extra +3. They give you +1 by default, so this makes it +4. Then you can get all of those followers, the entertainer, the noble, and the agitator for another +4. And if you conquer Marienburg, you can get the key to Strasrad, which gives you another +5 public order. So altogether, you can see the region of Castle Drakenhof currently has -20 public order per turn. If I move this Empire captain in, just by himself, you can see he's increased the public order by +17, which means that it'll take 51 turns now for the rebellion to happen. So you can pretty much hold down multiple regions by himself. You can move him back and forth across the border to keep both Castle Tempelhof and Drakenhof under control for quite a long time without needing to send an army back to control the rebels. Student is a great follower for any race. Check out my dwarf followers guide where I talk a bit more about the student follower. I'd say for Empire, student's not quite as important as it is for dwarfs. I still make an effort to farm student whenever I can playing as Empire, but the Empire's tech tree isn't quite as extensive as the dwarfs. Probably the most important technology in the Empire's technology tree, I think, is this one, Emissary to the Prince of Altdorf. Gives you +25 diplomatic relations with men, particularly with the Empire. That's just going to help you to get good relations with all the other Empire provinces. And once you hit certain breakpoints, you'll get +1, +2, and +3 to fealty with the Empire provinces if you've got high relations. So this +25, although it doesn't seem like that much, that can be enough to help you get those non-aggression pacts, those military access and trade agreements early, and those agreements will give you additional positive relations, and it'll kind of roll on from there. +10 relations from starting with Karl Franz's faction, and or the +40 relations that you can get from mere mortal men in Volkmar's skill tree will also help out a lot. You get that 10 fealty and get those confederations. Continuity comes under the category of not Warhammer Total War, my least favorite category. Income from ratings, not a big deal for Empire. Income from all buildings is great, but again, it can only be equipped by lords, so it's not really worth too much. Tempo and line of sight can be okay on heroes. Magic item drop chance, you'll just get this one naturally from fighting lots of battles. Doesn't really matter. Militia man's quite good, especially if you get it early. It drops from fighting battles against Bretonnia and Empire, including the secessionists. Okay, so now for my top 3. Now this isn't necessarily the top 3 best followers to farm, as Empire's kind of a bit hard to farm a lot of the good followers. This is probably more like my top 3 favorite followers. Coming in at number 3, we've got Hunter. Now Hunter's a bit hard to farm. You've basically just got to win battles with a lord. The lord underlined means that it must be the main lord leading the battle. So even if you have like 4 armies involved in the battle, only the main one that initiates the battle has the 5% chance to loot the hunter. As is a common theme with all of the Empire followers, although it's kind of hard to farm it particularly, you end up getting quite a lot of them anyway, because you win a lot of battles and 5% of the time you'll get a hunter follower out of that. The hunter follower can be equipped on any of your heroes. If you're running a lot of heroes in your armies, you can put, 4 or 5 of these hunters on different heroes, giving your armies 100% ambush chance in a lot of situations, which is just really tactically powerful. It's just great to have a high ambush chance on all of your armies, or on your main army at least. Coming in at number 2, we've got the Kislevite Kossar. Now the Empire actually has 3 different movement increasing followers that you can loot. They've got the Messenger, gives you plus 6% movement range. This one, you just get it when your main lord wins a battle, and it's only a 4% drop rate. So it's only a low drop rate, but again, you fight a lot of battles, you always generally win them, so you'll eventually accrue a fair few of these. The second one is the Scribe. This gives you 8% movement rate, so it's quite powerful, but you have to rank up after having spent 4 consecutive turns in your own region, so in a region that you own, and your characters have to have already won 3 battles. So you'll just get these occasionally when, you know, rebels spawn after you've been sitting in a region for a few turns. Perhaps when you're conquering Sylvania, when you first conquered Sylvania and it's still heavily corrupted, and you're getting rebels, you know, keep spawning there over 2 or 3 consecutive cycles, and you have to have an army camping there. You know, those sort of situations you might get a Scribe. Again, you can't really farm it. It'll just kind of happen. You'll just occasionally get them. My number 2 pick for actually farming followers is the Kislevite Kossar. You can get this one quite easily with a 10% chance. All you have to do is rank up in any of the Kislev regions. Both lords and heroes can trigger this. So if you take an army with a few heroes into Kislev, fight a few battles, you'll easily get 1 or 2 of these. Along with Karl Franz's faction-wide trait that gives plus 10% movement to all characters, you can get plus 6 from Messenger, plus 7 from Kislevite Kossar, and plus 8% from Scribe, for a total of 31% increased movement. And now, finally, my number 1 pick for best follower to farm for the Empire, it is the Hedge Wizard. The Empire actually has 2 different followers that increase Winds of Magic Power Reserve. They also have the Apprentice Wizard that increases Winds of Magic Power Reserve by plus 20. This is another one of these ones that's hard to farm because only the main lord has a chance for it to drop, and it's only 4% chance, but you'll get that shit. You'll fight a lot of battles, so you will eventually get quite a few of these. The Hedge Wizard, you can actually kind of farm it a bit more easily by stacking multiple wizards in your armies. You get a 20% chance every time you win a battle per wizard in your army. So these will be dropping quite a lot. You could put multiple wizards in your armies in order to get more of these to drop, but you'll honestly probably have enough of them dropping even without you doing anything or without going out of your way to farm them. As I said, it's a general theme with the Empire. They have a lot of fairly good followers. Most of them are kind of difficult to farm, but you mostly just get them anyway. So yeah, there's not really much of a strategy to farming with the Empire other than just having as many armies as you can fighting different battles on different fronts, and having more heroes in your armies to get more chance of different followers triggering. So it's key to get Gotrek going, so you've got 2 armies as early as possible, assuming that you're going to do the Gotrek Forever trick to keep Gotrek Forever. If you're not going to use the Gotrek Forever trick, then you might want to be a bit more strategic about when you trigger your Gotrek, because you've only got him for 30 turns. I think that's just about all I got to say about Empire followers today. If you've got anything to add, please post it in the comments down below, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of my next video. Thanks guys.